Hey, what's going on, guys? Calvin Russell here. Super excited to bring you guys yet another successful person that's doing extremely well in her industry. All right. I've been watching Candace for quite some time and just seeing her entire career take off from college to moving to a different state and literally helping a lot of people, especially in their businesses. But of course, you guys don't have to take it from me. I want to introduce you all to, of course, one of the best business attorneys that I know, Miss Candace Patrick. Candace, can you hear us okay?
Hi, I can hear you perfectly.
Awesome, awesome. And again, thank you so much for taking out your time. I know you had to move around, of course, I'm sure, some clients and such to make time for this interview. So thank you so much for doing so.
You're very welcome.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so let's get straight into it. So let's talk about Candace, right? I know every day you're always trying to make things better for your clients, but let's actually focus on you today. So first off, how did you even get into? Because of course we know that you're an attorney, and how did you actually become? How did you get into this profession?
Ooh, it's a long story. But the short and simple version is, growing up as a kid for me, I was always very, very good at advocating for myself and other people. And I was a bit of a rebel. So, I would get in trouble, but I would always argue for less punishment, things like that. And so people started speaking that over my life, like you should be an attorney. And initially, I wanted to be a psychiatrist. And then I met a psychiatrist and I found out that you have to dissect the cadaver. So then I said, I'm not doing that. So I started thinking about being an attorney. And for me, I grew up in DCFS, so living in group homes, shelters, foster homes. And going through that process, each kid has their own guardian ad litem, which is their own attorney. So
Yeah.
I would communicate regularly with my guardian ad litem. And it was powerful because, and his name is Randy Tiggets, right? And so
Hmm.
he would teach me the laws, and I would go and sit in a meeting with the executive director over the agency that was responsible for me, and I would negotiate, and I would say, "Well, I talked to my attorney, and the rule is you're supposed to give me $800 for a prom dress.
Hmm.
I haven't received that. The rule is my foster parent is supposed to pay me this amount every month for allowance. I haven't received that. So if
Hmm.
you want me to stop running away, or if you want me to, do good, then I need these things."
Wow.
And they would give it to me. So that taught me the power in being able to know what the law is and articulate it and negotiate what you want. So that was the start. And then
Wow.
a small background is, living in Chicago, of course, I've always seen um, people involved in the criminal justice system, right?
Yeah.
So that inspired me as well. And so overall, everything I just mentioned, it made me view being an attorney as something powerful,
Yeah.
right? So for a little black girl who didn't have a mom or dad around, I wanted to be powerful. I wanted to be protected. I wanted to protect myself and my loved ones. And
Yeah.
I always saw an attorney as that person. This is the person that gets you out of jail, right?
Right.
So
Right.
in a synopsis, that's the story.
Wow. You got to know the law, man. I think that's an amazing story because that's the only time we really think about, the law, right? Is when we're either in trouble or when someone's trying to do something to us. But other than that, it's one of those things where you don't think about it. It's almost like the fire extinguisher. Like, it's there,
Mhm.
right? The chances of you needing to have to know the law or, find yourself where you may need to hire an attorney of some sort and whatever the situation may be, it's going to come, but you just don't. I don't think we prepare properly for that, and we'll get to that in a second. But that's such an amazing story. So now, okay, now you didn't just go to college, right? Obviously, you graduated. You're an attorney now, but you actually graduated at the top of your class. Tell us about that.
Sure. So it's two processes to become an attorney, right? So once you finish high school, of course, you have to go and get a bachelor's degree. So
Okay.
I did really well at Northern Illinois University. And as an undergrad major, I majored in sociology, and I did a heavy emphasis on criminology. So I was
Wow.
really interested in the criminal justice system and how sociology played a part in that. And I did graduate with honors in undergrad. And then I went on to law school, and that's where my whole life changed because, when I started law school, Calvin, I had a newborn baby.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
so I was forced to choose whether or not I believed in myself enough to go to law school with the newborn and
Wow.
try to survive, or just give up because I was scared. And
Right.
so eventually I said, you know what? I'm just going to go to law school with my newborn, and I'm going to give it a try. And I
Yeah.
did. I gave it a try. And from the very first semester, I've always made Dean's list. And
Wow.
so in law school, Dean's list means 3.0 or higher,
Mm.
but it is extremely hard to get a 3.0 in law school because you're taking about 5 to 6 doctorate classes. Doctorate
Mm.
meaning doctorate focusing on the law,
Right.
right? And then in total you have 7 classes, right? So it's very intense. So many people don't make it to
Mm.
that point. But then when I graduated Magnum Cum Laude, right, which is very high honors.
Wow.
And I was one of the only Black women in my class to do so. So that was a proud day for me and my family because, like,
Yeah.
I just wanted to get through law school. I didn't know I was
Right.
going to get through law school with my baby and have honors. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So that
Wow.
was awesome.
No, you know what? If you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it like that. That's for sure. So that's amazing because usually I've heard of the term, but I haven't met anyone. I think you're probably the first person that I know of that has graduated with that particular honor. And I mean, that's huge. I mean, I didn't even know how to say it. I just heard it. Magnum cum laude, right?
Yeah. Yep, yep.
That's what's up. That is what's up. So, of course, now let's fast forward, right? So now you graduated at the top of your class. You were able to successfully do so while still having a newborn child. So let's talk about now. Now you're kind of getting some cases. You're getting the ground kind of moving. So now, how does that work in law? And what I mean by that is, do you kind of start off at a firm, or are you able to start your own kind of firm, or like what was the route that you took?
Yeah, so generally the rule is this. Once you finish law school, you simply have what's called a Juris Doctorate, right? So that means you're a doctor of the law. You have that now, but you're not licensed as an attorney. So you
Hmm.
have to take what's called the bar exam. The bar exam,
Wow.
once you pass it, it allows you to be licensed as an attorney. So just simply going through law school, you're a lawyer, right?
Hmm.
That's what a lawyer is, a person who has a Juris Doctorate, okay?
Hmm.
But an attorney is a person who has the Juris Doctorate and they've passed the bar exam and they're licensed, right?
Wow.
So once you get that license as an attorney, the doors are open. You can work for a firm, or you can put up your own shingles and start your own business, so to speak. So in my case, I knew that I wanted to relocate to Texas.
Okay.
And so, I'm born and raised in Illinois. I love Illinois. Um, but when I was preparing to submit my application for the bar exam, I focused heavily on where I wanted to live permanently, and I
Right.
chose Texas, right?
Wow.
So I flew into Texas. I took the bar exam, which was extremely hard. Only 13% of people that took the exam with me passed the test. 13%,
Wow.
right? So it's
Wow.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I passed the bar. And for me, I always envisioned myself working at this big law firm
Yeah.
and just, being a cute boss attorney with my briefcase and I'm going to court. But sometimes God has a different plan for you.
Yeah.
So when I came down to visit Texas and stuff, things just did not work out for me to be at a firm. That's
Mm.
not the path God had for me. And so I met a mentor who's a Dallas attorney, and he said, "You need to start your own firm. You're smart. You know
Mm.
what I mean? You could just start
Yeah.
your own firm." And that is not what I wanted to do, but that
Right.
was the plan God had for me. And so I prayed about it. And I said, "Okay, God, if this is what you want me to do, I need help. I started praying for the things I wanted. And before you knew it, I had clients. And,
Wow.
even now today, it's 5 years in the game since I opened my firm. And
Wow.
when I go out places, people know me. They're like, "You're that lawyer."
Right.
So uh,
Yeah.
that brings joy to my heart because I really wanted to be in-house at a big firm, but I didn't know how to get that because I wasn't from Texas. See, back in Illinois, I always had all the connections, right? In law school, I clerked for Northern Illinois University's Office of General Counsel. So
Hmm.
like NIU's attorney, I
Wow.
was his clerk, right?
Wow.
I was doing legal research for him, writing briefs and things like that, and
Yeah.
advising him, right? So that was big. That's a prestigious position, right? So to
Yeah.
leave that And then, of course, you expect to go into a big firm, but it didn't work that way for me. God wanted me to start my own firm. So that's what I did. And
Wow. Such an
it's
amazing story, man. I mean,
interesting now. You see, I'm sorry, Cap. I was just going to say it's
yeah,
interesting now because if you pay attention on social media, you see so many more young men and women graduating law school and going and
yeah.
starting their own firm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's huge. Because, like you just mentioned, a lot of people are now starting to do that. And I feel that multiple reasons. One, we see that in our communities, there's obviously a lack of of that particular profession. Number two, we find ourselves, especially, I don't know, maybe it could just be just media, but I find it where, it's always maybe the African American community. And of course, everyone's going to need some type of legal advice at some point, and it's not always bad. Sometimes it's growth, as well too, but it's one of those things that I most definitely haven't seen that much until recently, and that's a tough profession. It's not like the standard kind of majors that everyone kind of go into. I mean, that's it's difficult, so like you said, only 13% of the people in your particular class even passed it. So of course, just major congratulations to you and putting in that hard work. But see, that's the first half. A lot of people think that everything is going to be easy street once you, of course, which I didn't even know there was a difference between a lawyer and attorney. I never Googled the difference, right? So you just kind of just throw it around loosely. And it's like, well, wait a minute, I'm an attorney. So, but again, that makes sense though, because the average person, they wouldn't know that for sure. So now, of course, you have the law firm. I'm sure that you've had different types of cases, even ones that didn't even, it was just a conversation and it never turned into a case. But what are some things that you think would be helpful to the audience that we have today? Where you're talking about, would you mind, I would say, telling us about a couple of cases where you think we could probably learn something from as far as business goes?
Yeah. One of the biggest things that's been coming across my office lately is contract disputes.
Mm,
Okay. And so a lot of times business owners, they either want to do business with other people or they have some extra money and they want to invest,
yeah.
right? Either way it goes, I've been seeing really bad contracts come across my desk where
Mm,
people are, you know, putting a lot of money on the line, but they have bogus contracts. Okay. And so,
yeah.
like you said earlier, people don't even think about attorneys until something's going wrong. Like,
Yeah.
so people sign these contracts, and I've had clients invest, $100,000, right?
Wow.
But you got this bogus contract, right? You have
Mm,
you have no collateral in the contract if this person screws you over. What do you have to protect you?
right.
Because you're giving this person, all this
Yeah.
money. Well, what do you have to protect you if they decide they want to screw you over, right?
Mm,
And so
right.
I've been seeing a lot of that when it comes to business owners, not having adequate contracts, and then coming to me at the end when when everything's going haywire, and I'm
Yeah, it's
like,
too late.
yeah, I mean, we can duke it out in court,
Yeah.
but that's a process, and a lot of business owners, a lot of people in general are not comfortable with the litigation process. It's very time consuming to sue someone.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go through a lot of emotional roller coasters because in this day and age, many people want things quickly,
Yeah.
right? But handling a lawsuit is not quickly. So that's why I always say in the beginning, at the very inception, when you're about to do business with someone or when you're about to invest or anything like that, always go and get you a really good business attorney to draft the contract for you. Because when the other people, usually other people, either they're just pulling something off of Google
Yeah.
or they have their own attorney that's drafting it. And trust me, when us attorneys are drafting for our clients, we don't care about the other person that they're doing business with. I could care less about putting a provision in the contract to protect the other person. All I care about is my client. So
Wow.
when someone gives you a contract, it's your job to be responsible and take that contract to your own business attorney so that I can comb through it, rip it apart and put it back together so that it better protects you. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
A lot of
Yep.
people aren't doing that. So that's one of the biggest things um, that I've been seeing coming across my desk. And I think you asked me for like a juicy case or something I worked on.
Or cases, or whatever you think is best. Cases that you feel, because see, I know a lot of people. And we're going to get into a couple things too, because it's not just business law that I'm
Right.
seeing that. Because of course, when we first had an interview a while back, that's when that was one of the specialties that you have, and now you kind of added to that. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, cases that you feel that the business audience would probably kind of learn from, in a sense. We don't have to have the entire part, but whatever you think is best for us to know.
Oh, sure. One of my favorite clients, she ran a really big logistics company.
Mm.
And that's pretty popular here in Texas. And prior to me, she hadn't had any attorney, but she was making well over like 600,000 a month, right?
Wow.
And when she came to me, it was like a stray puppy that just was hungry. And so she had so many lawsuits, so many people that had sued her
Mm.
her business.
Wow.
And I got all those cases dismissed, right? So think about it. You're a business owner, you're making 600,000-700,000 a month, and then you got 3-4 people suing you trying to take
Wow.
your money. And
Wow.
I remember one case in particular, somebody had stolen one of her tags. So when you're in logistics and you have freight trucks and things like that, you usually have like your business logo on the side of the truck, so
Yeah.
people can identify, and you have your transportation number. They're supposed to have that on the side, but
Yeah.
someone has stolen it
Wow.
and put it on their truck, and then they got into an accident. So the insurance
Mm.
traced. They when the pictures came in, the insurance came after my client because her tags were on the truck,
Correct.
right? But I got it dismissed.
Wow. Even with that,
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. So and pretty much all of her lawsuits against her, I got those dismissed. And so it's just a value. That's an example of working with a good attorney as a business owner, how
Yeah.
it can save you time, money, and stress. Because she came to me very stressed out. Yeah, I mean.
Wow. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
So yeah, that was some of my most fun cases. Handling those cases for her when she's a business owner and she's getting sued, right?
Wow. That's huge.
So
That's
yeah.
huge. And because I honestly think that sometimes people, like you said, we only focus on profit, right?
Mhm.
And we don't spend too much time actually protecting our business in a sense. So what are some ways that that a person can now protect the business? Because everyone's coming up with business ideas now. Everyone's loosely giving information on social media, things of that sort. But and people are just, I think, in my opinion, they're just focused on just making money, and of course, obviously, helping clients and things of that sort. But are there some things that we should start doing to protect the brand that we build?
For sure. So the key word you said was brand.
Hmm.
And the most important thing is you want to make sure that you own your brand.
Hmm.
Okay. And that goes into trademarks, which is a form of intellectual property. So nowadays, with the 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 importance of social media, so to speak, everyone kind of has their own brand, whether it's your Instagram tag name
Yeah.
or whether you have a logo, whether it's a special phrase that you say. I know a lot of
Mm.
people before they start their YouTube videos or before they start on TikTok, they have a certain phrase they say, even if it's "What's up, Joe?"
Yeah.
Whatever it is that your audience uses to identify you, you want to make sure you own that, because
Mm.
if you don't, you kind of, it's like building a house but you don't get to own it at the end
Right.
because you didn't fill out the proper paperwork to get the loan from the bank or whatever, but you've
Yeah.
invested so much time and energy into building a beautiful house, but you don't get to own it. And then you run the risk of a the me as an attorney telling you, sorry,
Mm.
somebody else owns it already. You got to build another house, right?
Mm.
So you got to build another brand because somebody already trademarked your brand, you
Mm.
know? Or let's buy them out. So now you got to spend all this money trying to negotiate and buy this person out of this brand, which never really ends well. And so that's the biggest thing that I would say for business owners. And I think because of attorneys like me being present on social media, I think
Yeah.
more business owners understand this now, but I don't see as many implementing it, right? So people will inquire about the trademarks and stuff, but they don't always execute on it. And
Yeah.
so business owners should get busy executing on it. And I say that not to be long-winded, but I say that because if we research any of the successful businesses, I mean, like, Christian Louboutin, right? We all
Mm.
love our red bottoms. Tiffany's, right? We got the Tiffany's chain. If we research any of these companies, and
Yeah.
it's free, to go on the USPTO's website, right? It's free to go on their website and search companies. You'll see all those big companies, they have a million trademarks, right?
Wow.
Because they understand the value in protecting their brand. So if they come up with a new design, a logo, they're immediately filing a trademark. If they come up with a new phrase or something, they're immediately filing a trademark. I mean, Tiffany, they even have that pretty little blue. They have it trademarked, that blue color,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So you see
Wow.
how the branding works. And then in the future, let's say you wanted to sell your business, okay? Because many people don't want to pass the business down to their heirs, to their kids and stuff. Many people just want to build the business up and sell it. Well, when we go to the table to sell it, one of the first things that I'm telling my client to ask you is, do you own the trademark?
Wow.
Right? Because that's going to significantly impact your business. You can have a million YouTube followers
Yeah.
who buy 50,000 products a day and they know this logo. But if you don't own that logo, that's going to create problems when you're trying to sell it because you don't really own it.
Wow.
You see what I
Wow.
mean? All right,
Yeah.
I'm done talking about
No,
it.
it's fine. You know what? This is what people need to know because I don't think the importance of why they should protect the brand, trademarking, things of that sort. And now I'm thinking like, man, okay, I know I have some protection on some things, but it's like you gotta, if you're going to take things to, if you plan on making money from something for a certain period of time, you don't know how big it's going to be. And I think that may be the next reason why some people don't do it is because they're coming up with the excuse of, well, this is something I kind of do part-time, spare time, whatever the case may be. But even those who are taking their businesses to the next level, they need to protect this stuff. Otherwise, someone could essentially not only take your name, they could trademark it, and now you can't do it, correct?
Right. That's exactly right. So if
Wow.
someone trademarks it before you, um, they could send you a cease and desist letter, basically telling you that you have to stop using the trademark.
Wow. That's
And so then
huge.
you would have to rebrand and come up with a whole new brand. Or, I mean, if the person is willing, you could probably buy them out, buy the trademark from them. But
Awesome.
it's always best to just be proactive
Yeah.
and get the trademark first. Whether your brand is going to blow up or not, it's just better to have it so you're safe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not only that, someone else may actually um, have the same idea and they want to take theirs to the next level. But then if you trademark yours now, because I'm sure, is it possible that you could sell like ownership to a trademark?
Yeah. So
Mm,
remember when I was saying when we go to the table to sell the business, right?
that's right. Right.
You can you can kind of negotiate more money if you actually own the trademark because
Wow.
remember owning your trademark is it's an asset. It's intellectual because it's not something that's physical and tangible, but
Yeah.
it's just like going to the table and you own a piece of property and you say, you know, I got this 10 acres of land. I'll add this on to the deal. How much more can we get for this 10 acres of land, right?
Wow.
So when
Yeah.
you have the trademark and you own it and you can prove, hey, I got the trademark registration, I own this, then the value of your company goes up. We can
Mm,
request more money. You know what I mean?
yeah. Wow. That's huge. And again, I think that's something that, we never even mentally kind of, prepare for. And speaking of which, and I don't know if this kind of falls into that like that legal ramification, but I think it's pretty smart. And I think that you're the type of person to have this conversation with. How people are kind of talking about they're seeing so many Tyler Perry creations on BET, right? But they've also seen it, from different, TV providers, things of that sort. Not to get too deep into entertainment, but I heard that he's doing so because he's licensing his work to different brands instead of just actually selling them. So I know that kind of goes that has to do with some sort of business law, right? To be able to have something in order to license that out. Is that like part of business law as well?
Yeah, so it would be a mixture of both business and entertainment law.
Mm,
So now this here is for the entertainer. So when you are an entertainer, you essentially are a business yourself, right?
right.
Because you're an entertainer, you get paid to entertain people. So what Tyler Perry did, he was very smart and he has excellent attorneys on his team, is that he made sure to own his intellectual property. So
Mm,
what we just talked about was trademarks, right? But Tyler Perry created stage plays and scripts, so he copyrighted those things so
mm,
that he could legally own it. And once you have a copyright in your artistic works, you can license it out or you can sell it. but you never want to sell it because you make more money licensing it out, right?
Wow.
You
Yeah.
know, so BET and all these people, they're paying him, you know, whatever they negotiated, whatever the price is, but they're paying him to be able to run his shows. And it's not just limited to people who has a TV series or scripts. This goes for any artistic work that you get your copyright on. You can be an artist and you have a beautiful painting. Well, if these people are filming this movie and they need
Yeah.
artwork, they have to pay you to license your work to be in the movie. They can't just put your artwork in the background in the living room on
Right.
set. You know what I mean?
Right.
The same with music. So when you hear
Wow.
music on TV shows and you hear, you know, you hear our favorite song playing in the background, they had to pay those artists to license their music to
Wow.
be on the movie or on the show. So that's a big business, especially for in this day and age. It's so many creative people. We see them every day on YouTube, on TikTok. So many people that are creative, but you have to know how to protect your work and make sure you get a copyright on it. Okay. Now, you still own your artistic work, even if you don't have a copyright on it. But the problem becomes if someone steals your artistic work, you you can't sue them until you go and get an actual copyright. So that's the
Mm.
prerequisite. You have to have a federal copyright before you can file suit. And another thing is, if you don't have the copyright at the time they steal your work, you don't get your attorney's fees,
Mm.
right? So that means you're going to have to pay your attorney to file suit against this person. Whereas
Wow.
if when they stole your work, let's say someone copied your artwork and put it on their in their movie, at that time, if you had a federal copyright, when you sue them and you win, they have to pay your attorney's fees,
Right.
right?
Wow.
So that's a little bit more deeper into copyright, but
No, you know what? This is phenomenal information, for the viewers to have because I know that, of course, if you guys have not had this issue yet, right? You most definitely want to make sure you protect yourself. And by the way, just so we're clear, of course, Candace does provide trademarking services, but that's not all that she provides either. So, what are some other services and what other sides of law are you now involved in?
absolutely. So I started off with business, and that's what I'm most known for. But
Okay.
at this stage in the game, I also do personal injury.
Wow.
So, when you get into a car accident, you slip and fall at, the grocery store or whatever, or any type of injury, then I represent those clients as well to make sure that they get their medical bills and stuff paid. Any payouts that they're due for their injuries, that we work with the insurance or work with the person that is at fault and get them paid. So that's been really exciting.
Wow.
In that area of law, it's pretty fun.
Okay.
Um, and one of the other areas that I've been really involved with lately is family law.
Okay.
And I don't
Wow.
really, if you look at my social media, you never really see me advertising or not advertising, but talking about family law
Yeah.
because I'm very particular with the type of family law clients I take on because it can
Yeah.
get really dramatic, as you can imagine. People getting divorces, people fighting over child custody. It gets very dramatic.
Mm.
But that's something that I've been heavily involved with since I opened my firm. I just
Yeah.
never really talked about it.
Okay.
So people will come to me, hey, I need a divorce. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I'll represent them. And I have a lot of fun doing family law as well.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So now, and then of course, law is, I'm sure, like you mentioned earlier, is state based. So if people did want to reach out to you for these particular services, there you also add general information just on not just on your social media, but if they wanted to like actually hire you for any of these services, they would have to be in the state of Texas. Is that correct?
So it depends. So
Okay.
obviously I'm licensed in Texas, so this is my primary base for my clients. But let's say someone wanted a trademark. Trademarks are federal, so I
Right.
can represent someone for trademark in any part of the US. It doesn't matter what state they're in. As far as other areas of the law, it depends on if it's a case that I really want to take, and then I will go and get permission to represent that person. So, for example, if it was like a really bad accident in Chicago, and somebody just had to have me as their attorney, I could do things to get the permissions to represent that person in Chicago. But it's for me, it has to be a really big case that I really want to take on for me to leave Texas and represent the person.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Gotcha. That's huge, man. I'm sure you're obviously getting to that point where people have to fly you out at some point, I'm sure. So
Yeah, get flued out. But yeah, I get, since Chicago is my hometown, I get so many people from back home who
yeah.
want me to handle their divorces or, all those things. And I have to tell them, like, okay, so you gonna have to pay me extra to fly in. Well, you really could just go and get you a Chicago lawyer. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to business, contracts, trademarks, company formation, those are things that I can do regardless of the state.
Awesome. Awesome. I think that's absolutely amazing. So you guys got that now, okay? So she could do trademarks nationwide and all the other services are going to be state-based. But she gives a ton of just advice and guidance. And we'll kind of get to that in a second. Matter of fact, no, let me go into that right now because I'm going to segue into that. Your TikTok. And now, of course, I've heard now your YouTube is blowing up and you're because of all the great content that you're providing, people are learning from it, but they also get a little bit of entertainment as well too. So how did you find yourself kind of just falling in love with TikTok and such?
Sure. So many people don't know, but in undergrad, I was very involved with the arts. So I started off, I think, freshman year or sophomore year in undergrads. I was involved with Empire Models. Yeah, I don't know if you remember them, but we had two modeling teams at NIU, and I joined Empire. So that got me into modeling and fashion and things like that. And then later on, towards the end of undergrad, I got involved with acting.
Hmm.
And we had a really big stage play at NIU called I Can't Sit Down.
Okay.
And I was the star of the play. Like I was the leading lady. And we all
Wow.
got paid to do it, right?
Wow.
And I fell in love with acting. It was one of those things that I did that I felt like I can do this so well, but I'm not really trying. It's just
Yeah.
effortless, right? I'm just being me, and it's easy for me to get up here and act, and people loved it. And so when I started approaching graduation, I had to make a decision. A, am I going to pack up and move to California and try to make it big?
Right.
Or am I going to follow my childhood dream of becoming an attorney and get back to acting at another date? And so
Right.
obviously I chose option B. I went on to law school, but in the back of my heart and in my mind, I always missed acting, right?
Yeah.
And once I started my business and I saw that social media was booming and this is the place to be if you're a business owner, I
Yeah.
kind of decided, hey, I'm gonna start using these reels or these TikToks to teach people,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to be reserved. I'm going to
Be
be
yourself.
myself. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm funny and sometimes, I'm being sassy, but I'm
Yeah.
just being myself. And I love when people reach out to me, whether it's my inbox or whether it's in person. But whenever I meet my followers, they always tell me how much I teach them. And that makes me
Wow.
so happy because jumping out there and being different like that, it's untraditional for attorneys. At least when I started doing it a few years ago, it's very untraditional, right?
Yeah.
To get that feedback from my audience, it made me so happy that they appreciate the TikToks and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's so great, for honestly for you to do that. Like you mentioned, and this was something that because of course you have your main focus, your main bread and butter as well too, which is of course, you being an attorney. But at the same time, on that social side of things, you're able to express that. And since it's not of course your main focus, it's like, hey, if you find it funny, you find it funny. But at minimum, you're gonna gain some knowledge, you're gonna gain some information. And I think that's such a great way, for people to kind of learn, especially, with the information that you give based in your industry. So I think that's huge. I think that's huge. So now, how can we reach out to you? Because I know, of course, the YouTube channel's blowing up, right? So, are you? And then how are you still like actively, making videos on the YouTube?
I am. So what I try to do is I try to post whatever videos I create. I try to post it on all of my social medias. But
Awesome.
I'm gonna be honest, TikTok and YouTube, they give me the most love. So I try to focus on them more. But that's what I do. I post on all of the social medias. And then as far as like getting in contact with me, you obviously can follow my social media, shoot me an inbox. But if you want a more direct approach, you can just call my law office. And then my phone number is 844-480-0480. So if you got like you want a direct approach, you can call my office. One of my assistants will answer the phone and they'll get a message to me as far as what you need help with. Or as you can see, Calvin just posted a link. You can use the link to book a consult with me and be a little bit more formal, and we will get you taken care of.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, Candace. We greatly appreciate you for taking out the time of your day, to just give us this information. What's one last thing you want to leave with the audience before we leave out?
Man, this is not a legal tip, but I just want to say believe in yourself. It doesn't matter how far-fetched your goals seem, because remember, I was a kid living in group homes and shelters in DCFS. But from the age of like 12, I started telling people I'm going to be an attorney. And
Mm,
so many people shot me down and said, girl, you're not going to be an attorney, right? But in my mind, I knew I was going to be an attorney and I dreamed about it. I obsessed over being an attorney, and that's what I accomplished. So follow
mm.
your heart and don't let anybody, interrupt what your dreams and your goals are.
Don't let anyone interrupt your dreams and goals, guys. You heard it from Candace herself. So again, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate your time today. And of course, we listen, guys, stop what you're doing right now. Make sure you guys go follow her on TikTok. Make sure you guys look up Candace on YouTube as well. I'll make sure I tag her as well too. Great person, to get this information from. So, and of course, always staying, up to date on things as well too. So, thanks again for your time.
You're welcome. Bye.
All right.